Malcolm Grant was pacing angrily down the crowded streets of Southside Market. He had just stormed out of his penthouse after a brutal fight with his girlfriend Chanel. His jaw clenched, fists buried deep in the pockets of his designer coat, and his heart pounding like drums in a street parade. Chanel had once again accused him of being too distant, too cold, too obsessed with work. But how could she understand? Being a billionaire in the tech world wasn't all glamour. It was pressure, eyes on him from every angle, people pretending just to get a piece of his pie. No one ever cared for Malcolm Grant, the man, only the money. But tonight Chanel crossed a line. She brought up his late mother, said maybe she hadn't raised him to know love. That was it. Malcolm couldn't stay another second. He left his phone, his driver, everything behind. Just wanted to walk, breathe, think. The street buzzed with life. Vendors yelling about roasted corn and peppered turkey, horns blaring, Afrobeat music thumping from barbershops and street corners. Malcolm kept walking, not caring where he was going. Neon signs flickered above rundown buildings, the smell of jollof and car fumes filled the air. Just as he passed a group of teenagers laughing too loudly near a corner shop, he felt something brush against him. Light. Too light. He stopped. Years in business had sharpened his instincts. Something was off. He spun around, scanning, and then he saw her. She couldn't have been more than 22. Slim, fast, dressed in a worn-out hoodie with frayed cuffs and jeans that had seen better days. Her skin was a rich cocoa brown, her eyes sharp but weary, and in her hand a glint of silver. His wallet. "Hey!" he shouted. The girl froze for half a second. Their eyes locked, hers wide with fear, his blazing with fury. Then she ran. Without thinking, Malcolm gave chase. She weaved through the crowd like a whisper, knocking over a stack of plantains, jumping over a stray dog curled in a corner. Malcolm, in his tailored coat and Italian leather shoes, didn't care how ridiculous he looked. He was not letting her get away. "Stop that girl," he shouted. But no one moved. People stepped aside, watching like it was a Nollywood drama unfolding live. She dashed into a narrow alley. Malcolm followed, ignoring the puddles and the rank smell of decayed food. Rats scattered as his footsteps echoed behind her. She scaled, a tall fence like she'd done it all her life. Malcolm hesitated. Then anger gave him wings. He climbed, tearing his shirt on the way down. She landed on the other side, panting hard. But when she turned, Malcolm was right there. He grabbed her wrist. "You really thought you could steal from me and get away?" "Let me go," she cried, trying to wriggle free. He reached into her hoodie and yanked out his wallet. "You picked the wrong man today." She glared up at him, defiant even in fear. "You rich folks think you're untouchable, and you street kids think stealing is a joke?" He snapped. "You think I'm just another soft target?" "I didn't have a choice," she muttered. That stopped him. Malcolm looked at her closely for the first time. Her hoodie had holes in the sleeves. Her shoes were barely holding together. Her lips were chapped. She wasn't just scared. She was freezing, starving. He loosened his grip. "What's your name?" he asked, his tone softening. She blinked. "Why do you care?" "Because I don't want to call you thief all night," she hesitated. "Ayanna." Malcolm nodded, repeating the name in his mind. Ayanna. He looked at her again, really looked. Beneath the grime and anger, there was something raw. Real. Nothing fake. Nothing like Chanel or the vultures he dealt with daily. He let go of her wrist and put his wallet back in his coat. "Come with me," she frowned. "Why?" "I'm not calling the police, but you owe me an explanation, over dinner." Ayanna stared at him like he was mad. "I'm not washing no dishes." Malcolm chuckled. First time that day. Deal. And just like that, the billionaire and the pickpocket walked out of the alley, side by side. The streets buzzed around them as Malcolm and Ayanna walked together in silence. People glanced their way. An elegant black man in a fine jacket beside a ragged girl with tired eyes, but neither of them cared. Ayana still didn't understand why she was walking beside a billionaire instead of sitting in a police cell. And Malcolm, he didn't fully understand either. Something about her pulled at him. Maybe it was her fire, or her pain. Maybe both. He didn't take her to some high-rise rooftop restaurant. No velvet ropes, no champagne glasses. Instead, he led her to a small corner bar tucked into a quiet street, the kind of place where the jollof was always hot and the pepper soup burned your throat just enough to remind you you were alive. They sat in a booth. Malcolm ordered fried rice and chicken with plantains and 2 bottles of malt. The waiter raised an eyebrow but didn't say a word. Ayana sat stiffly, her fingers wrapped around the edge of the table like she was afraid she'd be thrown out at any moment. "You like pepper soup?" Malcolm asked casually. Ayana shrugged. "Never had it." "You're missing out." The food arrived steaming hot. She stared at the plate like it was gold. Slowly, she picked up a spoon and tasted the rice. Her eyes widened. Then, without a word, she began to eat like someone who hadn't had a full meal in days. Malcolm watched in silence, something tightening in his chest. When she finally looked up, her face flushed from the spices, she asked, "Why didn't you turn me in?" He leaned back. "Because you're not a criminal. You're a survivor." Ayana looked down. "That's not what people usually say." "Well," he said, sipping his malt, "I'm not most people." They talked. 1 hour became 2. Malcolm asked questions no one else ever asked her. Not what she'd done, but who she was. And Ayana answered, slowly, cautiously, but honestly. She told him about her mother, how she died 5 years ago. About her father, Mr. Isaiah Brooks, a former mechanic who had fallen gravely ill, needing surgery they could never afford. How she'd begged on the street until begging failed. Then she started stealing, not because she wanted to, but because hunger and desperation backed her into a corner. Malcolm listened quietly, his food forgotten. "How much is the surgery?" he asked. Ayana paused. 10 million naira. He nodded slowly. "How many wallets would you have to steal to make 10 million? He asked gently. "How long before someone beats you or you end up in prison? Or worse?" Tears welled up in her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. "I just didn't want to watch my father die." Malcolm reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a slim silver card. He slid it across the table. "There's about 12 million in that account," he said quietly. "Take it. Use it for your father's surgery. The rest use to live, eat, breathe." Ayana didn't touch the card. She stared at him wide-eyed, breath shallow. "Is this a trick?" she whispered. "No trick." Her fingers trembled as she picked up the card like it might vanish. "Why?" she asked. "Why are you helping me?" Malcolm looked her in the eyes. "Because someone should have helped my mother when she was struggling. No one did. And I don't want to carry that regret twice in one lifetime." Ayana's heart cracked, open. She stood up suddenly, knocking over her chair, and rushed toward him. She wrapped her arms around him and hugged him tightly. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you so much, sir." He hugged her back gently. "Call me Malcolm." She smiled for the first time that night. "Okay, Malcolm. Promise me something. Anything. Don't ever steal again." "I swear," she said quickly. "On my mother's grave, I'll never steal again." He nodded. "Good. You want me to drop you off at the hospital?" "I'd appreciate that." They walked out of the bar. Together, 2 unlikely souls who met by chance and found something rare in each other: humanity. Malcolm booked a taxi, and they both got in. Ayana leaned her head against the window, then slowly let it fall onto Malcolm's shoulder. He looked down at her, already fast asleep, and smiled softly. Maybe, just maybe, fate had finally done something right. Sunlight crept gently through the blinds of Malcolm's guest room, casting golden streaks across the bed. Malcolm stirred, blinking against the light. He stretched, his back sore from sleeping in an awkward position, and turned to the side. There she was, Ayana. Still asleep, her hair messy from the night, one arm flung across the sheets, one foot hanging lazily off the edge of the bed, fully clothed, peaceful. His eyes widened for a moment. He sat up fast. "Ayanna," he said, nudging her gently. "Wake up." She groaned softly, rubbing her eyes. "What? What time is it?" "That's not the issue," Malcolm said. "Do you remember anything from last night?" Ayanna looked around, blinking. "No. I mean, not really. I remember eating. Then maybe the taxi. I think I drank a little." Malcolm nodded slowly. "You passed out on the ride. I didn't want to drop you off without making sure you were okay. I laid you here, slept on the couch. I just wanted to be sure you were safe." Ayanna sat up, embarrassed. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause you trouble." "You didn't," he said. "But I need to know something else. That card I gave you, did you check it? Did you use it yet?" She shook her head. "I was going to head to the hospital this morning." "Good," he said, standing. "Get ready. I've got a meeting at the office, but I'll meet you at Holy Grace Medical behind the stadium. Tell the doctor your dad's name is Isaiah Brooks." She nodded, a soft smile playing on her lips. "Thank you again." He walked out, feeling a strange calmness he hadn't known in years. But peace is fragile. Just minutes after Malcolm left, the silence was shattered by the clatter of high heels against the marble floor. The door burst open. Chanel, wearing a tight red dress and holding a juice glass like a trophy, she stepped into the room, her face curled in a twisted smirk. Well, she said, voice dripping with venom. "What do we have here?" Ayanna stood startled. "Good afternoon, Ma." "Spare me the pleasantries," Chanel snapped. "Who the hell are you, and why are you in my man's house?" Ayanna clutched the silver card to her chest. I'm sorry, I didn't mean." "Malcolm helped me. I was attacked by some boys and he brought me here so I could rest." Chanel raised an eyebrow and laughed coldly. "Attacked, huh? So now he's saving strays off the street?" Ayanna's hands began to shake. Chanel stepped closer, her voice sharp like broken glass. "You actually think a man like Malcolm would ever look at someone like you? Just look at you. Ripped jeans, dirty hoodie. Do you even own a mirror?" Ayanna's lips quivered. She said nothing. Then Chanel's eyes landed on the card clutched in her hand. "What's that?" Ayanna held it tighter. "He gave me this to pay for my father's surgery." Chanel narrowed her eyes, then snatched the card out of her hand before she could react. "Hey, that's for—" "Shut up," Chanel barked. She looked at the card, then burst into laughter. "Oh wow, you really believed he gave you money? Girl, you're even dumber than you look." She waved the card in Ayanna's face. "There's nothing on here, trust me. He probably gave you a blank one just to make you feel special before tossing you out. That's what Malcolm does. You think you're the first poor girl he's entertained?" Ayanna stood frozen, her world cracked beneath her. "No," she whispered. He wouldn't do that." Chanel scoffed. "Wake up, girl. He plays sweet. Then he disappears. That's what rich men do." Ayanna's eyes filled with tears. "Give it back. Please, there's nothing to give," Chanel yelled, then tossed the card onto the floor. "Go find another fool." Ayanna stared down at the card. Her heart shattered, but this time it didn't break into silence. "You're a terrible person," she said, voice trembling but strong. "You don't even know what I've been through. I don't need money to have worth. And just so you—" "No, he told me to call him Malcolm, not sir. He saw me, not just my clothes." Then Ayanna turned, picked up the card, and walked straight out of the house, head held high even as tears rolled down her cheeks. But outside, her strength gave way. She didn't know if the card was fake or real. She didn't know if she could ever look Malcolm in the eye again. All she knew was that her father was still in the hospital, and she had nothing. She walked toward the clinic with shaky legs, holding on to that one small thread of hope that maybe, just maybe, this wasn't the end. The sun blazed overhead, scorching the dusty streets of the city. Ayanna walked silently, her hands trembling as she clutched the card Malcolm had given her. She had no strength left to cry, but inside, she was breaking. At Holy Grace Medical, she stood at the edge of her father's hospital bed, heart pounding. "Papa," she whispered softly, stepping closer. Mr. Isaiah Brooks turned his weary head and offered a fragile smile. "Ayanna, where have you been? I didn't sleep last night. I was worried." "I'm sorry, Papa," she said, holding his hand. "I stayed at a friend's place. I overslept." He squeezed her fingers weakly. "As long as you're safe, my daughter. That's all I care about." Just then the door creaked open. Dr. Otis Daniels entered, holding a file. His face was tired, worn. "Ayanna," he said gently, "can we talk?" She stood quickly. "Yes, doctor?" Dr. Daniels sighed. "Your father's been here for a full month. We've done what we could, medications, drips, care, but the surgery is still pending, and the bills." He paused. "They've piled up, I know," Ayanna said quickly. "I'm trying. Just a little more time, please. I'll find a way." Dr. Daniels looked at her with tired compassion. "We've already waited longer than policy allows. If no payment is made by tomorrow morning, we'll have to discharge him." "No," Ayanna whispered. "Please." "I'm sorry," he said again, and walked out, leaving a silence that pressed like a weight on her chest. Her father turned, his face to the wall, a tear slipping down his cheek. "Don't cry, Papa," Ayanna said, kneeling beside the bed. "I'll find the money, I promise." Isaiah shook his head. "You've done too much already, Ayanna. I don't want you to do something dangerous for my sake." "I'm not giving up," she snapped through clenched teeth. "Even if I have to beg on the streets, I will not let them throw you out." He closed his eyes in pain. Ayanna's heart burned with helpless fury. She had trusted Malcolm. She believed in his kindness. But now, no card, no money, just empty promises and a storm of confusion. She left the hospital, stepping into the harsh sunlight. Her stomach twisted with hunger. She hadn't eaten since yesterday. Her head spun. She leaned against a nearby wall, eyes closing for a moment. "I have to do something," she murmured. "I can't let Papa die." Then she looked down at the card in her hand. The one Chanel said was worthless. "No," she said aloud. "I'm not going back to that house. That woman, she'll throw me out again." She stood under the shade of a mango tree, thinking hard. "Wait, I can go to Malcolm's office," she muttered. "Away from her, I'll talk to him there." But then she stopped. "I don't even know where he works." Her shoulders sank. She looked around. Cars rushing by, strangers walking fast, eyes empty, faces cold. She was lost in the crowd, invisible, so she did the only thing she could. She started begging. "Please, sir," she said to the first man. "My father is dying. We were just discharged. I need help." The man didn't stop. "Ma'am, please, just a little for my father's hospital." The woman clutched her purse tighter and crossed the road. One by one, people passed her without a glance. Some rolled their eyes, some hissed. "Lazy girl," one man spat. "Go find work." "You're under the sun crying for sympathy? Go hustle," another snapped. Ayanna's knees buckled. She dropped against a wall, sliding down slowly. Her stomach growled. Her body shook. She buried her face in her hands. Somewhere across town, inside the shining glass walls of Grant Technologies, Malcolm sat behind his desk, flipping through documents. His phone buzzed, an alert, and 12,000 withdrawn. His eyes lit up. "She used the card," he whispered. "Thank God. Her father can have the surgery." A smile spread across his face, the first real smile in days. "I'll visit them after my meeting," he said aloud. His father, Mr. Franklin Grant, sitting across from him, noticed the joy. "You're glowing like a man in love," he teased. Malcolm chuckled. "It's nothing, Pops," but inside his heart swelled with peace. He didn't know. Ayanna never got to use the card, and at that very moment, she was sitting broken on the street, starving, exhausted, and thinking he had betrayed her. The next morning came with gray clouds, hanging low over the city like a warning from the heavens. Ayanna sat beside her father in silence, inside the cold hospital room. Her eyes were swollen from crying all night. Her heart was empty. The silver card, her only hope, was gone. Her trust shattered. Her future dark. The door creaked open. Dr. Otis Daniels entered slowly, a heaviness in his walk. "Ayanna," he said gently. She jumped up. "Doctor, please. Just one more day. I'll get the money, please." Dr. Daniels shook his head. "I'm truly sorry, my daughter. We've stretched the rules. I've used my own money for medication, but the hospital can't hold him anymore." Ayanna dropped to her knees, clutching his hand. "Please, I'm begging." He looked down at her with pity, then slowly pulled out a crumpled bundle of naira from his pocket. "This is all I can do," he said. "Use it for transport. May God guide you." He walked out without another word. Minutes later, Ayanna helped her weak father into an old, rusty taxi. The driver didn't even ask where they were going, just started the engine with a coughing rattle and pulled onto the broken road. Inside the car, silence hung like a weight. Isaiah's hand trembled in hers. "Take me home," he whispered. "Let me die in peace." "No, Papa, don't talk like that. You've suffered enough because of me." She shook her head, crying openly now. "Don't say that." He looked at her, pain in every wrinkle on his face. "May God send you a kind man, someone who will wipe away your tears. You will live, Papa. I'll find a way. Even if I have to rob a bank." "Don't," he said suddenly, his voice as strong as it could be. "Don't let my sickness drag you into sin, promise me." She nodded, sobbing. "I promise." The taxi bumped along toward their old neighborhood, but their room was no longer theirs. Soon as the cab pulled up, their landlord, Mr. Ogunla, stormed toward them with fire in his eyes and a belt in his hand. "You people must leave today." "Sir, please," Ayanna begged. "My father just came from the hospital." "I don't care," he roared. 6 months' rent. 6. Do I look like a charity? You have 1 hour." He stormed off, muttering curses under his breath. Ayanna stood in silence, then went back inside and saw her father lying on the mat, breathing slowly. She didn't have a plan. No money, no home, but she had love and desperation. She walked out back and found a neighbor's forgotten wheelbarrow, rusty and bent. She rolled it into the room. "Papa, forgive me," she whispered. "I don't know what else to do." She lifted him into the barrow gently, placing a pillow beneath his head and covering him with a wrapper. He didn't protest. She wheeled him through the street, ignoring the stares, the whispers, the laughter. Her back ached, her legs shook. Sweat poured down her face, but she kept going. Finally, on the far edge of town, she found it. An uncompleted building, half, its roof missing, one wall fallen, vines crawling over the bricks. It was quiet, empty. She rolled him inside. "Just for now," she whispered. "Just until I can find a way. I'll fix this, I promise." Her father looked at her with teary eyes. "I'm sorry, my child." "Don't say that." She kissed his forehead, then ran off with the last of her coins to the market. She returned with a small plate of rice, a sachet of water, and a cheap pack of painkillers. "Papa, eat something, please." But he turned away. "Leave me. Let me go. My ancestors are calling." "No," she cried. "You will live to see better days." He held her hand. "You are a good daughter. May the heavens reward you." Ayanna stood, panicked. "Wait. I'll go to the pharmacy. I'll find something better. Please don't move." She ran into the blazing sun, heart pounding. Back inside the building, silence fell. Minutes later, Mr. Isaiah Brooks collapsed. His breath slowed. His eyes rolled back. There was no one there to catch him. Only the broken walls and the heat of the day. At that exact moment, a black SUV pulled up outside the building. Malcolm stepped out, adjusting his sunglasses. His bodyguard followed closely behind. "This is the land I told you about," Malcolm said. I'm thinking of building a new branch here. They stepped through the overgrown grass toward the building, but the moment Malcolm entered, he froze. Wait, is that... A man, pale and unconscious, lay on the ground. Malcolm ran over. Call an ambulance, now. The bodyguard rushed to action. Malcolm knelt beside the man, feeling for a pulse. It was faint, but still there. We don't have much time. Minutes later, sirens wailed. Mr. Isaiah was lifted into the ambulance. Malcolm followed in his SUV, his heart racing. At the private hospital, doctors moved fast. Machines beeped. Nurses shouted instructions. Dr. Daniels emerged moments later. His condition is critical. We must operate immediately. Do it, Malcolm said. Don't worry about the money. He watched them disappear behind the swinging doors. He had no idea who the man was. No idea that he'd just saved Ayana's father. No idea that fate had just tied their lives even tighter than before. Ayana ran through the market streets, clutching a small plastic bag in one hand. Inside were a few painkillers and a loaf of dry bread, all she could afford with the coins a kind market woman had given after hearing her story. Her feet ached, her chest heaved, but her heart held hope. "Papa," she called out as she reached the broken building. "I'm back. I got the medicine." She pushed through the doorway. Silence. "Papa?" She ran in, her eyes darting between the corners. "Nothing." Her voice rose. "Papa, where are you?" No answer. The room was empty. Ayana's plastic bag dropped to the floor. Her knees hit the ground. "Oh God," she whispered. "They took him. They took him." She clutched her head, sobbing. Maybe it was ritualists, or kidnappers, or maybe he's gone. The pain struck like a hammer to her chest. "I can't do this," she cried out. "I can't." She ran out of the building blindly, staggering into the street. Her heart pounded with panic, her thoughts spiraling in all directions. She couldn't go to the police, not after the last time they laughed at her for not offering a bribe. She had no money, no ID, no one to call. She walked aimlessly, body weak, mind clouded. And then, "My daughter, why are you crying like this?" A voice. She turned around slowly. An old man stood behind her. He wore a clean, white native outfit. His gray beard flowed like a river of wisdom, and his eyes held the peace of 1,000 lifetimes. Ayana wiped her face with her sleeve. "My father. I left him in an abandoned building while I went to get medicine. When I came back..." He was gone. The old man nodded. He didn't interrupt, just listened. "I don't know where he is. I have no home. I don't even know if he's alive." She broke down again, her shoulders shaking. The old man gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "Your father is not dead, my child." Her breath caught. "What?" "He's alive," the man said calmly. "Go back to that doctor, the one who cared for him. He will give you answers." Ayana blinked. "How do you know?" But as she looked up, the man was gone. Gone. No footsteps, no sound, nothing. Her lips trembled. Was that an angel? She didn't wait. She ran. Fast. Minutes later, she reached the hospital lobby, panting heavily. A nurse at the front desk looked up in shock. "I need Dr. Daniels," Ayana shouted. "Please, I need to see him right now." Moments later, Dr. Otis Daniels appeared from the corridor, his face going pale. "Ayana?" he said, rushing to her. "Are you okay?" "Did someone bring my father here?" she pleaded. "Please, I have to know. A man. He was lying in an abandoned building near the old district." Dr. Daniels looked down, then slowly shook his head. "I'm sorry, Ayana. I haven't seen him since you left." Ayana's face turned ghostly white. Her body trembled. She opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. Her knees buckled. "Ayana!" Dr. Daniels shouted, catching her as she collapsed. Nurses rushed over. She was carried into a private room and placed on a hospital bed. A drip was inserted into her arm. She was unconscious. Hours passed. When Ayanna slowly opened her eyes, the ceiling lights blurred above her. She whispered, Where am I?" Dr. Daniels appeared beside her, smiling gently. "You're safe now. You fainted. You're weak from stress and hunger, but you'll be okay." Ayanna tried to sit up. "What happened to me?" The doctor paused, then cleared his throat. "Ayanna, you're pregnant." Her eyes widened. "What?" He nodded. 2 weeks. You collapsed from stress and low blood sugar. You're lucky. You could have lost the baby." She stared at the ceiling, silent. Then tears welled in her eyes again. "What's the point of a pregnancy?" she whispered. "When I can't even feed myself. When I don't know where my father is?" "Don't say that," Dr. Daniels said, placing a hand on hers. "Children are gifts, you never know. This child may become a blessing tomorrow." He stood. "Let me tell the nurse to bring you something to eat. You need your strength." As he left, the door opened again, and this time, it was not the doctor. It was Malcolm. Ayanna's eyes widened in disbelief. "Malcolm?" He rushed to her side. His face was filled with worry. "Dr. Daniels called me. He kept the number I left that day. Ayanna, I've been looking for you." She looked away. Her voice was sharp, guarded. "Why?" "To ask why I didn't pay the hospital." He stepped closer. "Yes, I need to know. What happened? What did you do with the card? Did you give it to a boyfriend?" Ayanna's eyes snapped to him, burning. "What did you just say? Did you use the money for—" "Don't insult me," she shouted. "Is that what you think I am? One of your fake girls like Chanel?" Malcolm froze. "Wait. How do you know about—" "She came to your house after you left. She saw me. She humiliated me. And she took the card. She said it was fake. She made me believe—" "You lied. To me?" Malcolm's heart dropped. "She did what?" "She told me there was no money, that you were just playing with me." Ayanna wiped her eyes. "So I left. I begged. I slept on the street. I lost everything." Malcolm's jaw tightened. "That's how she bought the new car," he muttered. "She used that money. He took a breath and looked at Ayanna. "But that's not important now. I need to tell you something." She looked at him, tired and quiet. "The man we found in the abandoned building, the one we rescued." Ayanna's heart stopped. "Was he?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Malcolm nodded. "It was your father." She gasped. "He's alive. He had the surgery. He's recovering. I just came from his room. He's asking for you." Ayanna burst into tears, real tears of joy. Thank you, God." She tried to rise from the bed. "Please take me to him. I want to see him." Malcolm held her gently. "Not yet. Dr. Daniel said you need rest. You're pregnant, Ayanna. You need to be careful." She looked away. "I want to get rid of it." "What?" "I have nothing, Malcolm. No house, no future. What kind of life will this child have?" Malcolm took her hand. "Because that child might be mine." Her eyes widened. "Might? I've never been with anyone else. Of course it's yours." He stared at her, his voice low and full of feeling. "Then keep it." She blinked. "But what about Chanel?" "I'm done with Chanel," he said firmly. "After what she did to you, to your father, we're finished. You're the only one I care about now." "Do you mean that?" she asked, voice trembling. "I do," he whispered. "You're not alone anymore." He stood. "Now rest. I'll bring you food. And clothes. You'll see your father soon." As he left, Ayanna placed her hand over her belly, tears of relief streaming down, her face for the first time in her life. Someone truly cared. Later that evening, Malcolm drove home with a storm swirling inside him. He had just left the hospital. Ayanna was resting. Her father, Isaiah, was recovering faster than expected, but Malcolm's heart wasn't at peace. His mind kept circling the same rage-fueled question. How dare Chanel steal that card? How dare she lie and ruin everything? As he pulled into the driveway of his mansion, his eyes narrowed. A shiny red car was parked outside. New, sleek, the kind of car Chanel always whined about not having. His chest tightened. He walked through the front door and there she was. Chanel sat on the velvet couch like a queen, one leg crossed over the other, holding a glass of juice like nothing had happened. "Hey, baby," she said sweetly, her voice oozing fake charm. "Did you see my new ride? Hot, right?" Malcolm didn't. Returned the smile. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his voice cold. Chanel rolled her eyes. "Relax, I still have the spare key, remember?" "That key was for emergencies," he snapped. "Not for breaking into my house like it's yours." "Oh, please," she said, waving a hand. "Don't act brand new. This is my husband-to-be's house." Malcolm's jaw tightened. "No, Chanel. Not anymore. I could never marry someone like you." She stood slowly. "Excuse me?" "I said I'm done." Her face twisted. "Is this about that street rat you picked up? That girl who played you for a fool?" Malcolm stepped forward, fire in his eyes. "You're calling her a fool? She's the one who's been honest from day one, the one who needed help, the one you humiliated, lied to, stole from." Chanel's eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about? You took the card I gave her, told her it was fake, then used the money to buy that stupid car." Chanel smirked, sipping her juice. "So what if I did? She's just another gold digger. I did her a favor." Malcolm stared at her for a long second. Then he laughed, not with humor, but disbelief. "You really don't see it, do you? The only gold digger in this house is you." Chanel's smile vanished. "You're selfish, heartless, and loud. You don't care about people. Just money, status, and things that shine. So now you're dumping me?" she said, her voice rising. "Yes," he said simply. Chanel threw her glass across the room. It shattered against the wall. "You think you'll find another woman like me? Do you know how many men want me?" Malcolm shrugged. "Let them have you. I'd rather have peace than beauty laced with poison." "You'll regret this," she screamed, grabbing her purse. "I doubt it," he replied. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. Malcolm exhaled and sat on the couch. For the first time in years, he felt free. Truly free. 2. Days later, in a part of town where hope dried up quickly, a loud knock pounded against a wooden door. Bam, bam, bam. "Open this door," a deep, angry voice shouted. Ayana rushed out from the back, already trembling. It was the landlord, Mr. Ogenla, standing outside with fury written all over his face. "You people must leave this house today." "Sir, please," she begged. "My father is still healing. We just came from the hospital." "I don't care," he barked. "You owe me 6 months' rent. 6. Please. Just a few more days." "I said out," he yelled. "If I come back this afternoon and see you here, it'll be with the police." He turned and stomped away. Ayana stood frozen. The walls felt like they were closing in. Inside, Mr. Isaiah lay weakly on a thin mat, barely able to lift his head. "Papa," she whispered. "We have to go." He looked at her. "Go where, my daughter?" She didn't answer. She wiped her tears quickly and stepped outside. In the backyard, she found it again, the same rusty wheelbarrow. She rolled it into the room and knelt beside her father. "Please forgive me," she whispered. "I don't know what else to do." With slow, careful movements, she lifted him into the wheelbarrow. He groaned in pain but didn't complain. She added a pillow under his head and a wrapper over his body. Then she began to push, through the streets. In the burning sun, people stared, some whispered, others laughed. But Ayana didn't care. Her tears soaked her cheeks. Her back ached. Her arms burned. But she kept going, for love. After over an hour of walking, she reached an uncompleted building on the edge of town, a crumbling structure with no roof, half a wall missing. She pushed him inside, exhausted. "Just for a while," she told him. "I'll find money. Then we'll get a real place. Isaiah looked at her with pain in his eyes. I failed you. No, Papa. Never say that. She ran out and spent the last money she had on a small bowl of rice and a sachet of water. When she returned, she tried to feed him. Please, Papa, eat something. He turned his face away. No, my child, leave me, let me go. I hear my ancestors calling. My time is near. No, she cried, grabbing his hand. You will live. You will see better days. I will fight for you. He squeezed her hand gently. You are a good daughter. May the heavens reward you. Ayana stood up quickly, panic rising in her voice. Wait here, I'll get you real medicine. Please don't move. She ran out of the building as fast as her legs would go. Back inside, Mr. Isaiah Brooks closed his eyes. And this time, they didn't open again. Ayana sprinted through the dusty streets with a small plastic bag clutched tightly in her hand. A kind woman at the market, moved by her story, had given her enough money for painkillers and a small loaf of bread. Her heart thumped with urgency. She needed to get back to her father, fast. But when she entered the uncompleted building, Papa. I'm back, I got the medicine. Silence. Her eyes scanned every corner. No sign of him. The wrapper lay folded on the floor. The wheelbarrow was empty. Her heart began to race. Papa, she called again, louder now. Papa. Still nothing. She dropped the bag, panic choking her throat. No, not now. Not when I tried. Not when I believed. Her knees gave out, and she fell to the floor, crying uncontrollably. Her voice, cracked with despair. They've taken him. Maybe he wandered off or someone saw him and... She couldn't finish the sentence. She staggered out of the building, eyes wild, searching. That's when she remembered. Malcolm. Yes, she had to go to Malcolm's house. He would help. He had to. But as she arrived and knocked at the gate, her hope cracked when she saw who opened the door. Chanel. Standing in the doorway in a silky robe, sipping from a wine glass like she was born on a throne. Well, she said, descending the steps with a smug grin. Look who crawled back from the gutter. Please, Ayana begged, folding her hands. I just need to stay one night. My father's missing. I went out to get medicine, and when I came back, he was gone. Chanel sipped her drink slowly. And what does that have to do with me? I don't want any trouble. I just have nowhere else to go. Oh, I know you don't. That's why you keep crawling back to my man. Ayana shook her head. I'm not trying to take him, I'm just trying to survive. Well, you're not surviving here. Not on my porch, Chanel snapped. You better get back to the streets where you belong. This ain't no shelter. Please, Chanel pointed to the gate. Out, or I'll call the police. Ayana turned slowly, crushed. She stepped back, into the street, dragging her feet, heart heavy. She sat on the roadside and cried, hands covering her face. People walked past, indifferent, cold. No one asked what was wrong. No one even looked her way. Oh, Lord, she sobbed. What kind of life is this? What test am I failing? And then, a voice. Gentle, calm, timeless. My daughter, what's wrong? She looked up. It was the same, old man in white. The same soft gray beard, the same steady eyes. Papa, she whispered. Why are you crying here in the open, my child? He asked. Ayana stood shakily and poured out her pain. I left my father in an abandoned building. He was too weak to walk. I went to get medicine. When I came back, he was gone. The old man listened, nodding quietly. I wanted to go to the police, she continued. But I don't have money. They don't care unless you pay them first. He reached out, placing a hand on her shoulder. Your father is not dead, she blinked. What? He is alive, the man said calmly. Go to that doctor, the one who treated him before. Go now. You'll find the truth. Ayana's eyes filled with fresh tears. Are you sure? The old man nodded. Go. She turned to run, then looked back to thank him, but he was gone, vanished. Not a trace. She gasped. An angel. Without wasting another second, she ran toward the hospital. By the time she reached the reception, she was out of breath, drenched, in sweat and nearly collapsing. I need Dr. Daniels, she shouted. The nurse rushed to call him. Moments later, Dr. Otis Daniels appeared, concern on his face. Ayanna, what happened? Please, she begged, voice trembling. Was my father brought here? Did someone find him? Dr. Daniels stared at her for a moment, then slowly shook his head. I haven't seen him, he said quietly. I'm sorry. Her face drained of color. She collapsed. Nurses rushed her to a private room, placed her on a bed and attached her to fluids. Hours passed. Ayanna opened her eyes slowly, blinking at the ceiling. Where? You're safe, Dr. Daniels said gently, sitting beside her. You fainted again, your body's exhausted, but we also ran a few tests. He hesitated. Ayanna, you're 2 weeks pregnant. Her mouth fell open. No. You fainted from hunger and stress. It's a miracle the baby survived. Tears streamed down her cheeks. She covered her eyes. What good is a pregnancy if I can't even take care of myself? Dr. Daniels squeezed her hand. You never know what a child may become. Don't give up. Let me bring you food. He walked out. Moments later, the door opened again. Malcolm stepped in. Ayanna stared at him in disbelief. I've been looking everywhere for you, he said. Dr. Daniels kept my number. He called me when you collapsed. She looked away, voice guarded. Why are you really here? To ask why I didn't pay for my father? I need to know, he said. What happened to the card? Did you use it for someone else? Her face snapped toward him, filled with rage. Are you serious right now? You think I used it on a boyfriend? Then what happened? He asked, frustrated. Your precious Chanel happened, she shouted. She found me in your house, took the card, told me it was fake, and kicked me out like trash. Malcolm's face turned pale. What? She made me think you betrayed me. He sat down slowly, realization dawning. That's how she bought the car. Ayanna's voice cracked. All I wanted was to save my father. Malcolm reached out and held her hand. The man we found in the uncompleted building. He was your father, Ayanna. We saved him, she gasped, eyes wide. He's alive, she whispered. He's okay? He had the surgery. He's recovering well. I was just with him. Ayanna broke down, this time in tears of joy. Please, I want to see him. Not yet, Malcolm said. You need rest. Dr. Daniels said you're pregnant. You need to be careful. I want to get rid of it, she whispered. Malcolm's heart clenched. Don't say that. Why not? I have nothing. Not even a home. He looked her in the eyes. That child might be mine. Her eyes narrowed. Might? I've never been with anyone else, Malcolm. He nodded. Then it is mine, and I want you to keep it. What about Chanel? She's gone. For good. After what she did to you, we're done. You're the only one I care about now. Ayanna's lips trembled. Do you mean it? I do, he said, pressing her, hand to his chest. You're not alone anymore. She burst into quiet sobs, and for the first time in a long time, they both felt safe. Weeks passed. Mr. Isaiah Brooks was finally discharged from the hospital. His strength had returned, and his smile, though still faint, had found its way back to his face. Malcolm arrived that morning, dressed simply in a linen shirt and loafers, holding a bouquet of flowers in one hand and the car keys in the other. Ready, Mr. Brooks? He asked warmly, helping him into the vehicle. More than ready, Isaiah chuckled. But where are we going? This isn't the road to our old house. Malcolm smiled as he drove. No, sir, you're not going back there. 20 minutes later, the SUV pulled into a quiet neighborhood. Wide streets, trimmed hedges, children playing in the distance. Malcolm stopped in front of a cozy bungalow painted soft cream and cocoa brown. with a tiny front garden and a mango tree shading the porch. Ayanna stepped out of the car and looked around, stunned. "Where are we?" Malcolm reached into his pocket and handed her a small silver key. "Welcome home." Her eyes widened. "What?" "I bought this house for you and your father. It's yours. No more landlords. No more running. You both deserve peace." Ayanna dropped to her knees, overcome with tears. "Thank you. Malcolm, thank you." Mr. Isaiah could only lift his hands to the sky. "Lord, you have done it. You have answered the cries of my child." A few days later, Malcolm took Ayanna to meet his father, Mr. Franklin Grant. The elder Grant greeted her with warmth and pride. "You're the young woman who changed my son," he said with a smile. "You've given him a reason to believe in more than just business." Ayanna lowered her eyes shyly. "Thank you, sir." "No," Mr. Grant said. "Thank you." 1 month later, under a golden sunset and a canopy of laughter and music, Malcolm knelt on one knee in the garden of the very house he had gifted. He held out a simple but elegant diamond ring. "Ayanna," he said, "you are strength. You are grace. You're the first person who ever saw me, not my wealth. You gave me purpose, taught me humility, and showed me what real love looks like." He looked into her eyes full of tears. "Will you marry me?" She covered her mouth in shock, nodding rapidly. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." Cheers erupted around them as Malcolm slipped the ring onto her finger. Even Mr. Isaiah danced a little, waving his walking stick joyfully. A month later, they held a small but beautiful wedding. The choir sang soulful hymns. The air was filled with the smell of fried plantain, roasted meat, and fresh hibiscus punch. Ayanna looked radiant in a white lace dress with her belly already showing the smallest curve of new life. Malcolm, in a fitted cream suit, never stopped smiling. They danced, they laughed, they prayed. And when Ayanna tossed her bouquet into the air, joy filled every inch of the gathering. Months passed, and then came the day that changed everything. Ayanna gave birth to a healthy baby boy. Malcolm held the child in his arms, his eyes glistening with emotion. They named him Imani, meaning faith. "Thank you, God," Malcolm whispered, "for this second chance, for this family." Ayanna rested against his chest, tears in her eyes, whispering, "We made it." Across town, Chanel's story took a different turn. After Malcolm cut her off, she rushed into the arms of another man, one who talked big, dressed in designer fakes, and claimed to own properties in Lagos and Abuja. 6 months later, Chanel found herself pregnant, abandoned, and broke. The man was a scammer, living off women like her. She tried to reach Malcolm, but the gate never opened again. She stood alone on the same street where she once kicked Ayanna out. Now she was the one nobody wanted. Everything she had mocked Ayanna for had become her reality. Back in their home, Ayanna tucked baby Imani into his crib and turned to Malcolm, who stood behind her with his arms around her waist. "You saved me," she whispered. He kissed her forehead. "No, you saved me." They stood there, wrapped in warmth in a house built on love and gratitude. And as the evening breeze flowed through their windows, the woman who once slept on the street now rested in a home full of joy. And the billionaire who once chased after money finally found something real, now and priceless. Peace, family, and a love that never had a price tag.